So I've seen so many groups playing the Altar of Calanthia trial on hard mode and just making it a lot more difficult than it should be. There's a very simple trick, and that just makes this first phase significantly easier. So in this video, I will go through my guide on everything you need to know to beat it. I will start with that quick tip. Basically, you want to get Calanthia down to 90% health at an exact moment. And you can see it with this group. We're moderating our damage. We need to get the boss down to 90% exactly when she does that lightning mechanic. You can see these 3 lightning lines. This is the exact moment that you have to get her to 90%. If you're too late, you failed. If you're too early, you failed. Now you may not have a clue as to why this is necessary. And well, it's as a result of the order of her mechanics. If you get to 90% too late, after she does that lightning mech, then you will phase and she will summon the beings of chaos and you will have to do that mech, just making it an awful lot harder for yourself. If you get her to 90% too fast, what you end up with is the double set of whirling blades. You can see they shoot out twice and everybody has one. And what happens then is it ends up in a mess, and if you phase incorrectly, like here, you can just end up having people dying. And if anybody dies before you complete the orb mechanic in the second phase, it's also pretty much a wipe. So again, what you're trying to achieve is to not get these double set of blades. There is, however, an alternate strategy, and that is just when you have high enough damage. With high enough damage, you simply skip this double whirling blades mech, because you would have killed her in time. However, you still need to be cautious to not get her below 50% health before she does the first whirling blades mech. So if you have enough damage, you'll need to slow on damage and wait for that first mech. Otherwise, you get double the blades if you're below 50%. And that's described here. The easy strategy, like I said, get to 90% exactly when she does the 3 lightning attack. This ultimately changes up her entire mechanic rotation and just makes it far easier. You will also not need to have high damage to kill her before you get the second whirling blades again. As instead, you may get the mechanic where one person gets trapped in an orb and it's very simple, you just free that person and then you will continue on to the final phase after you get her down. But let's get to the overall mechanics of this fight. You may not know how to do it whatsoever. Well, we first want to set up the arena and the players. You need somewhat of a specific setup. First, I recommend you pin 4 locations on this octagon on the star, just like I have here. 4 raid pins. These will mark where the circles can potentially be. Sometimes those circles will be on the other point of the star, and everybody just rotates then 45 degrees to the right. So have those 4 pins set up. Now what you need to do is assign 2 players to every single pin. These players will always go to that pin as soon as those circles appear. This is 8 players. You now have 4 left. The 4 remaining will be your runners. We mark those with like the star, the arrow, the shield, and the other players with the 1, 2, 3 are simply the leaders on the circles. You don't necessarily have to have those people marked at all. Additionally, I also recommend assigning 2 players per corner where the orbs spawn. This way you at least will have 1 person there, unless you're really unlucky and both those players of a corner get trapped. You will have to adapt a little bit, and after you've break those orbs, that's when you're going to those circles. You can put a personal mark of which corner where the orb spawns is yours. And yes, the tank needs to always be in the front. Do not leave her. If you're too far away, she will grab you and kill you. This is at least if she's not doing this mech. But now we get into the breakdown of that orb mechanic. You should have it set up and players assigned, with then 4 runners. These runners are what you use to fill the circles. You can see these circles just here. Some of them will have 2, some of them will need 4, and others just 3. You solve the mech by having the right amount of players in each circle. If you fail, it's a wipe. So it's the duty of these 4 runners to successfully fill out the circles. If you get a combination of 4, 3, 3, 2, it could be like this. Then the runners need to organize. This guy's going up here into this circle. This guy goes into this circle, and these 2 runners go into this circle. And that way you've successfully completed the mechanic. So there's a lot of pressure on those runners to do this quickly and fill out the circles fast. The players on the left and right circle near the zombies also need to be careful of the charging guys. They can potentially push you out of a circle and then screw you up with that mechanic. The zombies always spawn like to the right of this circle and to the left of this circle, so these will be the closest in this position, but also be aware when the circles are different. They can either spawn in this normal setup, but occasionally they'll also be in this setup instead. You will still have the pins in those locations, so just determine you all go to the right circle from your pin. And that's very simply the orb mech. You will have to do this twice, and if you fail, you wipe. The rest of the raid is pretty easy, especially when you take advantage of that 90% hit point threshold by reaching it exactly when she does that 3-line lightning attack. So you can see her call outs, there's no point in resisting, 6 players get tethered and they all need to move apart to break those tethers. Don't be standing within a tether, you will take a lot of damage over time, and yeah, just break them quick. Her next line we'll get, she laughs, and then you're going to have lightning. You simply need to block this to avoid it chaining between players like that there. And then she does embrace your death. You see those purple ghosts around her? This is the indicator before she's going to do that big burst around her where you need to move away and then putting out these swirling blades. If you got her to 50% before she made that call out, you would get double the amount of blades. Therefore, I recommend looking at that and not overphasing. In order to successfully kite them, you have to go in a very narrow circle like this on your dash morph. You don't need any special movement speed. I just have 680. This line attack that she done just there after the whirling blades, you can avoid it if you go to the far corner of the arena behind where you have like the portals. And this mechanic, you simply need to block that one. The call out is now die. She does 4 low damage wave attacks followed by that fury attack, which you have to block or you might die depending on your defensiveness. It's a very easy one to predict. Again, just 4 low damage waves followed by that circle attack, which would have killed me if I hadn't blocked it. If you don't have enough stamina and you're always struggling with stamina, there is this mushroom stew you can potentially use. Simply gives you instant 40 stamina, enough to use a block. So that's pretty much it. You've seen all the mechanics. You will have to repeat a few of them again before you get her to 0%. If you have super duper low damage, you may have to do the orb mech again. But if you really have that low damage, then you're probably just not using the right abilities, or you're on a complete PvP setup and you really shouldn't be in the difficult raid. But again, if you don't do that 90% trick, then you're going to have an awful lot more trouble. Her rotation of mechanics is different and you will get those blades again, those whirling blades, before you kill her, and you will get a double set. So once we go to phase 2 here, you simply get pulled to the middle, thrown up, the arena changes, and the boss gets super huge. You can see the breakdown of the different mechanics here. There are a few new ones, but nothing too challenging. You can see here how her hand on the right side there, the right side of the arena, was glowing purple, and now she does the jump check. You jump and then she pushes you. I could have just been a little bit more left and avoided that pushback. This is then pretty much the only orb phase you should be getting in this phase 2. And it's just the same as phase 1. Free the people in those and then go to your circles. It's the same setup. You see the pins, the vanguard pins, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're a little bit to the right. Organize all the people in the right circles and you complete it. Here again, her, this time on the left side hand glows purple. It's the jump, and then you could be on the right side like the other players to avoid the pushback. Here you can see you all just get feared and there's not much you can do about it. You simply just go back to do damage. Then she put these stones above your head. You will need to be prepared for when they fall down. Do not stand under them, as if they fall on top of a player, they will break. And you need the stones for the little safety zone behind them so you don't get killed by this mechanic. She does this big wave, you're safe behind the stones, then you gotta move away from them and jump when they explode. Now you're going to have to break her right hand. You see that purple hand? The other guys were paying attention, they broke it, I wasn't, but you simply have to move right next to the hand so it's in between you and the boss. Here I successfully moved to the correct side to not get knocked back. Once again, she fears us controlling, simply go back and deal damage. The stones then again appear above us, move away from them for when they fall down, hide behind the stones, move away as they explode. You see the announcement, you need to break her left arm. Simply make sure it's between you and the boss and all your damage will be directed at it. You break it in time. Now, if you do not break it in time, you will get another orb mech. People get trapped, you have to do the whole circles again. So, very important you break her hand. She does have somewhat of a special mechanic near the end when you just about get to 10% where you would be able to like grapple her wings, but this just isn't necessary currently. And yes, claim your chest and you get another legendary gear piece. That's the big benefit of doing the raid on hard mode, even if you can only do Calanthia. It's a huge gain. Of course, you will need somebody to unlock Calanthia, as every week the progress resets and you would have to do the first and second boss to actually unlock the final boss. Don't expect to get carried. You have to do this mechanic perfectly or you all die. But you can just be a person who's assigned to statically always go to a circle and then there's no problem. Just be aware of those circles changing. And this is how my group does it. Maybe other groups do it differently. Again, this is the written description of the mechanics, the setup here, the different strats, then phase 1 with the orb and circle mechanic, the continuation of phase 1 with those additional mechs, and those purple blades will always be on the 6th closest players, and that's determined when she does the voice line. So if you were the closest to her when she done that voice line, you will be targeted by these blades. Wasn't me, so I can just chill here and make sure that my teammates are getting healed. And then that's phase 2. So it's pretty basic, and out of all the bosses, this is totally the easiest once you are coordinated. It can take a bit of practice in order to get her to 90% exactly on time, and with my group, we simply just didn't use Stellarite and that was okay. So another person say didn't do any damage, and then we managed to do it consistently from there. But it will change based on what different players you end up in your group. If you play in the EU region, you can join this Discord server, and it's very popular for creating raid groups. They even do trials, channels for build advice, giveaways, etc. So overall, I hope this helps. A special thank you to the support of my channel members, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.